12th, 2023 to order. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Next item on the agenda, number 6, old business. Approve homeschool requests for 2023-2024 school year.
Madam Chair?
Mrs. Kraeger?
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, you have under number 3, open forum. I believe there are people here to address the school committee.
Which one is it? You're saying
Number 3?
Number 3, open forum,
3.
after Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Oh, we did.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. Was there anyone who signed up for open forum?
No.
Okay.
No?
So,
Oh, but are you here?
We're not, we're just watching.
You sure?
yes, no?
Okay.
Nothing?
All right.
Okay. So then we'll move on to number 6, old business, approve homeschool requests. Ms. Kraeger.
Thank you. There are 3 families who have requested homeschooling that you see there. So I ask that you approve those requests. They have met all the requirements in our homeschool policy to request that.
Do I have a motion to approve the homeschool request?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I would like to ask a question, though.
Any questions or comments? Mrs. Farnworth?
Mrs. Kraeger, what does this put us up to for this year?
Yeah, so I'm going to pass out a chart there. Mr. Pimentel also put it up on the overhead. So that puts us at 75 for this year. So I just got some data together to show you the last 5 years of homeschool requests. As you can see from that orange spike was when we came back from that COVID year, and there was some in-person and some home teaching, and we had some families who just wanted to do the home teaching for various reasons, most of them for health reasons. And then there was a little spike last year as well. In the previous collection of homeschool students, we didn't get letter of intents every year. Once the family sent a letter of intent and they wanted to continue that, we weren't really checking. So now we're just on, with our new homeschool policy, we're able to do that. So we have really solid numbers and we know where our students are. So that 88 was when we looked back and we found a few students, a little bit more than a few, who did not send in their letter of intent, but just thought that they were still able to do homeschooling without it. So right now we're hovering around the same, between, that 70 and 78 there.
Thank you for putting that together. I'm sure you've read some of the articles, as have I, and it's good to know that we're not currently experiencing really any kind of significant increase over previous years as of right now. So
Yeah.
it is good to know that. I know that a number of districts continue to struggle with losing enrollment, and at least at this stage of the game, it's not the homeschool population that's driving any of that here. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have a question? Comment?
I have one. Do we have any idea how many of these are siblings?
I can get that information for you and let you know that we do have several families who have several kids
Right.
Who
'Cause I
homeschool, but I
figure
can get that for
75, because maybe 20 of them are siblings.
you. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
brings
That
it
come
maybe
from the
back
same
down a
family,
little bit
sure.
down to earth. That would be great if we could get that.
I can.
I would appreciate
I'll
that.
bring
Thank
that
you.
next time,
It
yeah.
has traditionally been families, even when we were getting the names on the lists, it was quite often, it was almost all families.
Thanks, Marco.
All those in favor of the motion? Moving on to new business. A, first read, policy 512, section 504. Sarah.
Thank you, yep. So Section 504, just as a reminder, is Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and it's a National Civil Rights Act, and it protects individuals who has disabilities from discrimination. The non-discrimination requirement of Section 504 applies to employers or organizations who receive federal funding. So the policy that you guys have before you was reviewed by the policy committee, and we're bringing it here for approval for the first read. It's pretty lengthy, so I'm just going to give you some highlights, okay? So the previous policy that we have was approved in 2004. So it's been almost 20 years since we approved a 504 policy. Although that Rehabilitation Act hasn't changed, there's case law that has given organizations or school systems more information on how to make sure their policy is aligned to that case law. The policy now applies to both students and employees. Previously, it was just for students. We did draft this together with our school attorneys, so we had their feedback on this. Pages 1 to 3 of that policy outline the definitions of Section 504, so you'll see that and how it relates to our school system. Also included on page 3 is the District 504 coordinator for both students and staff. Pages 4 and 6 outline the process for students who might qualify for 504 plan. And if this is approved, our forms will also be modified to align with this policy. Page 7 outlines the process for staff who may qualify for a 504. And finally, 8 and 9 include the process for any dispute resolutions. Any questions?
Just a logistical one, Sarah. This new policy, this proposed new policy will replace the old policy. We need to note the policy numbers
It was policy 512.
because it's not noted anywhere on the policy
Okay.
itself.
Is it on there?
It needs
Yes,
to
we'll
be
put that
added
on
to
the top, yeah.
As well as a history of when it's approved, at the bottom, approved,
Okay.
what the date was.
Yeah.
And that, on the agenda, we should make note that this is replacing the old policy 512. So perhaps for second read, that
We'll make
would
sure
be
that's
enough.
there.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a question or a comment?
I
Thank
do
you.
want to thank Sarah for putting this together, and we did go into it in depth at the policy subcommittee level, you know, lots of good feedback, so it's well-written, and I think, you know, is a good replacement for the current policy.
Thank you.
So do I have a motion to approve?
This is only first read, there's
Oh.
no vote.
Okay, so bring it back to the next meeting in January. Item 7B, NEASC Accreditation Report.
Madam
Ask
Chair?
for vote. Dr. St.
Would I, could I ask the committee to move up item 7E? Representative Edwards is here, and I'd like to recognize his time and give him opportunity to present a grant. So if you can move that up, I'd call Principal Kraeger up to explain what the two grants are.
I'll make a motion that we move up item 7E.
Second.
Although, any questions? All in favor?
Hi, thank you. Yes, Representative Edwards is here this evening to express the grant, give details of the grant that he awarded to Tiverton High School. And I have Ms. Cusimano here as well to talk about both grants. I'm looking for your approval on the award of the grants. Thank you.
Hi. Hello. So this evening we have two possible grants, actually two grants that we've been awarded for our CTE Visual Arts Program. I first want to like to bring up Representative Edwards because he was kind enough to help us out with a $5,000 grant for our CTE Visual Arts Program. I just want to come up and say something first before I get to the second grant.
It's so nice that the school committee didn't make us cool our jets for 2 hours like the town council did. Thank you very much for getting us in front. I feel a little premature here. The grant is in play, but we also have another grant for Dr. Sancione. But I don't have the checks with me. Usually we come money in hand.
They're in the mail.
You're good for
They're
it.
on the road.
Well, you know, unless I have to drive to Providence to pick it up. Then it'll be a complete disaster. I might have to go via Newport. But Lee asked me to get a grant for the CTE program. We're more than glad to do that. It's a great program. I've seen your work at the home show. I've seen the students come out of the program, and I think it's a really worthwhile program and something we're more than glad to get a grant for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Representative Edwards, we're going to have an open house coming up at some point. We'd like to come out to visit and see all CTU programs. And I'll bring you cookies. What kind? What kind of cookies do you want? Any kind of cookie you have. You got it. I won't bake them because they're hockey pucks, so it's not my thing, but I'll get you cookies. Thank you. And the second
Before you
grant,
go any further,
yes,
Ms. Cusimano, how much is the grant or grants
the
for,
legislative
do you know?
grant,
The legislative-
$5,000.
Thank you.
because,
Okay.
and I will make note, we don't have any backup in our package tonight with regard to either of these grants.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I will definitely get that to you. I'm sorry. I just put it on the list, but I'll get you more information. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I gave like a 60-page PowerPoint for NEASC. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. Okay, and what type?
No
and
one
then-
that offers to give us money is in trouble. Relax.
No.
It's
and the-
fine.
And the second grant. Oh, thank you. We'll get the paperwork. And the second grant is for $1,000, and it's from an organization called Upward School Arts, and they have given to our Tiverton community before, but the first time they gave it to our high school. So this one, Kevin Callisto had written. I wrote that with him. We submitted it, and there'd be $1,000 coming forward sometime in January, and we're also trying to apply for some other grants. That's it.
You're done. You're
I'm done.
finished? Okay. So may I ask for a motion to approve the acceptance of the two grants?
I am going to make a motion to accept the Up With Arts and CTE Visual Arts Program grants with much thanks to both individuals here that were involved and to our rep and to Up With Arts. They have been very supportive of the district, and we are very appreciative of the grant money that does flow into the district.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Thank you. We love taking money, so anytime, keep coming back. Right? We're here.
Moving on to 7B.
Yep, 7B.
7D, we're on 7D, right?
Well, we
No, we have
Do we
7B first.
Back
Yeah,
to 7B.
Okay, so we'll move back to 7B. NEASC Accreditation Report. I flipped that over. Okay. And
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and we're very pleased tonight to present to you the NEASC Accreditation Report for Tiverton High School, a 5-year report in the making. A lot of hard work went into this. I want to publicly commend Principal Kraeger Ms. Cusimano, Ms. Dowd, who's here this evening, who were the chair of the committee. I hope you had an opportunity to look at the report that's in your packet. It's quite impressive. It's full of commendations, very few recommendations, and really is glowing from top to bottom. So with that being said, I'd like to call Principal Kraeger up, and I know they have a lengthy presentation for you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanquioni. So before we begin the presentation, I want to thank members of the faculty, staff, the school committee, Dr. Sanquioni, the Tiverton Town Council, the Tiverton Police Department, the community, and students at Tiverton High School. The contents of this report reflect true collaboration between multiple stakeholders. I also want to recognize our NEASC advisors, Ms. Cusimano and Ms. Dowd, and members of the steering committee, Sarah Cabral, Cheryl Gagnon, Sarah Gray, and Celeste Urban. Their role in this process is critical and time-consuming, so thank you very much for that. The NEASC process allows us to examine practices and make meaningful, impactful changes that are innovative. At Tiverton High School, we've created more opportunities for students. We have advanced equity, promoted excellence, pursued opportunities for growth, empowered students, and reimagined the educational system so portrait of a graduate competencies of collaboration, communication, critical thinking, responsibility, and empathy are ingrained in our culture. As you will see in the report and in the TSS School Improvement Plan, our strategic priorities are built on the guiding principles outlined in the action plans for each standard. So I now invite Ms. Cusimano and Ms. Dowd to the podium to highlight our decennial visit report.
Hi, thank you. So our report has come about after every 10 years they come out to your high school and they do a full evaluation of your school. So we were here 3 years ago for a collaborative visit, and you can see that we did a self-reflection report in the spring of 2021, and then our collaborative visit was in 2021 as well in the fall. And then they gave us a list of things to do. So we had 11 recommendations and 5 priority areas to address. In that short 2-year period, we were able to go through and actually eliminate all the 11 recommendations, so there are no recommendations. We also wiped out all 5 priority areas, and all we're going to find at the very end of this report is that we have just next steps as suggestions. Next slide, please. So what is NEASC, just in case anybody's watching and wanted to know what NEASC is? NEASC is the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, and they're purposely put together in order to come into schools throughout the New England area to see if you're hitting the standards and being the schools that you should be basically giving all the students the opportunities that they need. Next slide. When they came here on October 23rd to the 25th, it was a 17-member conducted comprehensive analysis of the school's learning environment. The chair that we had in the collaborative conference actually moved our actual visit up by 2 weeks because the collaborative president or the head of it, chair, wanted to come back. She liked it so much. And the added part was that one of the team members that came back was here for our 10-year visit 10 years ago. So he wanted to see what it was like, and they had a great time. They visited every classroom several times. We also highlighted many, many areas to make sure they understood that we hit the portrait of the graduate. Our CTE programs, they commended in every possible way because they reached the portrait of the graduate and the vision of the graduate ideas. Every student through that pathway had a way to have transferable skills. They interviewed district and building administrators, so everybody who's here on the board has been interviewed. We also had school committee members, Ms. Farnsworth and Ms. Polish. We also had all faculty members, staff, and a ton of students. We had to select some students to be part of it, and more and more kids kept showing up. They wanted to show our building. They wanted to talk about what was going on. And when we began our visit, we said, you're going to like our students, and they loved our students. They sampled student work through student-led gallery walks in the library and the auditorium. So if you came here on one of the days, we had the students from every possible walk of life, every possible form of our curriculum was representative for project-based learning, writing samples. We had our life skills students here. We had Z-Space just here in the library. And if you went into the auditorium, we had almost like a gallery walk of all of our massive projects. We had our boats in there. We had our art gallery in there. We had a wide variety. We even had a drone flying around. So anything that we couldn't put in here, there were several ways they can see the students. Next one.
They examined 5 fundamental foundational elements: learning culture, student learning, professional practices, learning support, and learning resources. First was a collaborative visit. That's, I said, that's they have 11 recommendations in the 5 priority areas. And then they came out with those. Next. And I'll turn this over to Pam for the next section.
So as Lee said, these are the recommendations that came from the collaborative report after the visit in 2021. And as Lee said, there were 11 recommendations. The first was to identify students who feel unsafe, not respected, or disconnected in order to guide appropriate interventions aimed at strengthening perceptions of safety, connectedness, and respect. Implement instructional practices such as differentiation of instructional materials and strategic grouping of students designed to meet the needs of each learner. Create and implement a process for disaggregating data that supports educators in making actionable recommendations for instructional improvements. So, further recommendations include increasing the amount of collaborative time for teachers in their PLC time and time for vertical articulation. So implement a formal, defined process to identify and refer students to the RTI team. Ensure that adequate, certified, licensed school counseling personnel are available to deliver effective services to all students. Create and implement a formal process which allows parents and students to request counseling support. Ensure that students have access to the media center of the library before, during, and after school. Provide adequate time and funding to enable professional educators to complete curriculum writing and revision. Address health code violations in the food services area. Address facility issues, prioritizing those directly related to student health and safety, such as the restroom, food services, and kitchen. So this was our response. What we did: increase the number of support groups, created more student-generated clubs, increased social emotional learning in the classrooms, added more school-wide motivational presentation speakers, and we generated 2 new student-led initiatives: No One Eats Alone and A Day Without Hate. The school has a link on the district website called See Something, Say Something, where students, parents, faculty, and anyone else can submit reports regarding concerns to school and district administration. Our school psychologist that was with us 3 days a week was increased to 5 full days. Our student assistance counselor through RISAS increased from 2 days to 4 days a week. We started and created our Bridge program to support students in its initiative to reduce chronic absenteeism. And what we're seeing too now, that when students are absent for long periods of time, they're able to come back into school, have a different level of support. The school developed and implemented a consistent process for examining data that supports teachers in improving teaching and learning as seen in our PLC time. Examining data. We looked at data from AP tests, SATs, PSATs, Math iReady, Reading iReady, Next Generation Science Assessment, and Common Assessments. And teachers conduct an item analysis, complete the protocol for examining data form, and then create action plans at both the department and school levels aimed at increasing student achievement. PLC was, at one point, 1 time in 6-day cycle. We are now meeting 3 times in a 6-day cycle, which helps with curriculum writing, revising curriculum, and analyzing data. So we went further than building our RTI, and now we're doing something called the MTSS. So we're focusing on equitable access and universal design for learning that fully integrate social emotional learning and academic student support. Changes have been made so students have more access to the media center before and after school. Any health codes that pertain to the students have been addressed, and we especially see this in our renovations of our 8 bathrooms. So now we're going to be looking at the 5 priority areas, and with each priority area, we're going to break it down into our response and the impact. So priority area number 1, portrait of the graduate. So develop beliefs about learning and a vision of the graduate that includes skills, knowledge, understanding, and dispositions necessary for future success. So our response, the creation of the portrait of a graduate. This was accomplished through the input of all stakeholders, administrators, building administrators, faculty, staff, students, parents from all 5 schools, the school committee, fire department, police department, and various other community members. The 5 competencies were identified as what we believe are the most important transferable skills our students should possess when they graduate. These competencies exist and are emphasized in all of our schools for grades K to 12. And as Ms. Craven said, our 5 competencies: critical thinking, communication, responsibility, collaboration, and empathy. And this should look familiar. And students, faculty, throughout the hallways of the school and classrooms in school are able to see these competencies throughout their day. So what was our response? How do we demonstrate that students graduate with these 5 competencies? We first created a self-assessment rubric, and it's utilized in classes in grades 9 through 12. The ongoing process that happens in each level in classrooms in grades 9 through 12. Our 3 versions of senior project. Traditionally, we are looking at our senior project through AP courses, and then our senior project through our CTE courses. So impact. The impact of these action steps can be seen in the culture of our building. Teachers, community members, and students alike are invested in the portrait of a graduate and agree that 5 critical skills are necessary for post-secondary education, training, or employment. An additional impact is that students assess themselves on the 5 competencies at various points throughout the year. Therefore, students are conscious and aware of their growth. Students feel that they are exposed to the 5 competencies in various ways each school year and have responded positively to the concept that all their teachers are focused on the same essential skills. Tiverton High School provides continuous opportunities for growth to fully implement this priority area, including providing students with feedback on their development of the competencies before graduation.
Priority area number 2, complete development of written curriculum in a consistent format for all courses in all departments that includes units of study with guiding essential questions, concepts, content, and skills, and integrates the school's vision of the graduate. So basically, I've gone into a number of NEASC physics in several schools throughout New England, and everybody does a great job of writing curriculum. But many, many schools sometimes do not go beyond just the 4 core classes, math, science, history, and English. So we impressed the committee because we not only had a complete set of curriculum written in a consistent form with all of those ideas in science, math, English, and history, we also expanded out in PE, health, all of our career and fine arts classes, our world language, and also our life skills. We also wrote it for our special education department as well. So they were completely impressed that we not only did what we were supposed to do, we exceeded it. I just wanted to point over something there. We have 3 binders, and we have several more. That's full of just the curriculum itself for all of our classes, and there's more. So I don't want to bring them out, but they're heavy. The response was to present all core and elective courses. Every course curriculum includes units of study with guiding essential questions, concepts, content, and skills, and integrates the school's portrait of the graduate. These are basically many of the Green Book strategies that we've been working on have exuded through our curriculum. A revision of the master schedule provided faculty time to work on the curriculum as well as to implement professional learning community structures. So during that time, they wouldn't have common plan, and we have PLCs. And for people watching at home, professional learning communities, when people of a common department get together, they actually go through the 4 steps of the FLORS method, and they look to see what students are learning, what you want them to learn, and how you want to get them through that pathway. Response also is the curriculum documents are now written in a curriculum format which has all these pacing guides and it basically talked about the key learning strategies, pre-assessments, assessments, performance assessments, depth of knowledge, academic vocabulary lists, a list of resources, student supports, and students extensions. So it basically makes us look not only at the curriculum we're currently writing, but basically we're consistent. And we had that beginning comment before about vertical articulation. So within departments, we begin to realize, do we need to keep those things in this particular discipline or to reshift it? And later on, you'll see what the science department did as one example. Teachers have had consistent time within the school day to create, review, and revise curriculum documents collaboratively. Because of the new schedule, by meeting 3 times out of a 6-day cycle, we can get a lot done. And that's when a lot of great conversation has gone. So the new schedule has been phenomenal for us. As new courses have been added to the program of studies, new curriculum have been written. Curriculum in several content areas have been written to reflect changes in core course materials or new state standards. District uses resources that identifies research-based instructional strategies to inform the planning and implementation of curriculum units. Again, the Green Book has been very, very important for us to use and has basically helped us succeed very much so in the NEASC initiative. Additionally, the writing prompts and the project-based learning experiences are implemented at least quarterly in each course. So if you remember, our initiatives here are having project-based learning and writing across the curriculum. That's also been a way that we'd be able to succeed in that because of the extra time that we have in our PLCs and our written curriculum. The school recently began an initiative to provide professional learning on the Universal Design for Learning model, which will further support the development of curriculum units as they are refined and revised. Impact. Creating the maps and meeting regularly to discuss curriculum, instructional strategies, student work, and data has made a positive impact on the culture and consistency of instruction through common success criteria, learning targets, essential questions, rubrics, and scope and sequence documents. These actions have increased departmental collaboration and consistent curriculum application across teachers' departments. Go to the next one. Priority 3, establish and implement consistent protocols for data review and for examining student work, evidence of student learning to improve curriculum, instruction, assessment practices, and programs and services. So basically what we do is we look at all those data points in our PLCs, AP scores, SAT, PSAT, NGSAs, iReady, and we use those consistently to develop and implement consistent processes for doing this. So in our PLCs, we have to look at what we're looking at, we assess the data, we discuss the data, and then as a department, we come up with action plans. So each department has an action plan to make sure that when anything we find deficiencies, we find where we as a department can be responsible to help out. Each PLC follows a detailed agenda. Teachers conduct an item analysis and complete the protocols. Departments use this time to examine formative and summative assessments, look at gap analysis, and teachers administered math and reading iReady screenings 3 times a year to look at strengths and areas of growth. The school administers also the Panorama SEL screening 3 times a year, and the SEL team meets to examine results and create action plans based on the results. The SEL team also runs academically struggling student lists and attendance lists weekly to examine trends and prevent interventions. So we constantly look at data in every department, and we act on that. The impact is the Algebra Concept and Skills course resulted from the data showing a need for additional algebra support. And then the science department began to look and say, well, how could we help out? And we're one department, all departments contribute. I just chose the science department. But the data from mathematics scores drove the science department to increase opportunities for algebra applications in our biology, chemistry, physics, and forensics courses. To provide additional opportunities for advanced math, the science department also rewrote the curriculum for a physical science course. So if you remember, traditionally that was our 9th grade class. It's now going to become our 11th grade class. That's going to have more impact, to have more of a mathematical skills to be expanded, and to give students more chances for success and meaning. What we also did is additionally, reviewing the reading, the iReady vocabulary scores, the English department added more targeted vocabulary instruction. So if you look at the science curriculum, it's going to go from biology, chemistry, to physical science. Science and history also is looking at, have action plans. We look at the SAT item analysis. We're working to also increase how we ask questions so students are seeing SAT type related questions in those particular disciplines. Another impact of the school's examination of data is the Bridge program, which is new this year. Social skills groups were also created due to the Panorama SEL screening, more opportunities for students to feel connected and supported. Priority 4, provide consistent time within the schedule to increase the PLC time. As he said here, the report, this line is actually lifted from the report. The school schedule increased by 300% the opportunities for all of our departments, science, math, all our core disciplines, PE, world language, fine arts, and careers that meet 3 times, everybody's meeting 3 times at a 6-day cycle. And we also have the leadership meeting, all the department heads meet once every cycle as well, and our guidance department gets to meet every Wednesday. So we meet a lot to have a lot of communication. The 4 PLCs are scheduled to coincide in times. English and world language, science, and career and fine arts basically have overlapping times, so we can do interdisciplinary conversations. And our special education teachers have been split in half, so 2 meet in the English PLCs and 2 meet in the math PLCs, so there's consistency of conversations of areas of growth and need. The PLCs consistently convene with common meeting agendas, like we've talked about before, and we follow those 4 steps of the Flores method. PLC times are valued in the school, and teachers never or pull out PLC times to cover classes. The English PLC has adopted a new curriculum and refined its course scope and sequence. The PLCs carve out time to attend instructional improvements using assessment results, current research for examining writing prompts, collaborating, rubrics, and scoring. We use that time to do a lot of double blind scoring to make sure that we're grading things appropriately and fairly. The correlated result of these action steps can be seen in the increase in proficiency rates of high-stakes assessments. For the NGSA, the science department, I'm proud to say, this year has increased by 9%. We moved from 38% of the 2022 to 47% of our students being proficient or past proficient in 2023, and we beat the state average last year and this year again. Also, in 2023, all science AP courses have higher passing rates than the previous years. AP scores in all areas have improved, so THS received the distinction of being named the AP Honor Roll for both providing equal access to as many students as possible and for our passing rates. Those are students who earn 3 or better. Teachers confidently and excitedly believe that their ability to collaborate more consistently and frequently have led to improved instruction, which has led to improved proficiency scores. Teachers are excited and optimistic to see upcoming scores on this year's high-stakes assessments, since students are scoring better on formed assessments compared to the previous years. Priority 5.
So our final in priority area 5 is around school building and facilities to support delivery of curriculum, programs, and services, particularly those areas related to student health and safety. And they saw many changes in this area in the 2 years. So the school remodeled 8 bathrooms with new sinks, stalls, water closets, flooring, plumbing, lighting, wall tiles, vape detectors. In the kitchen area, unused equipment was removed. In the floor in the kitchen, walk-in refrigerator, the tiles in the dishwashing area, and the refrigerator door gaskets at the walk-in cooler have been repaired. We have a new intercom system and kitchen dishware. A sidewalk and crosswalk have been added to the parking lot so that students and faculty can enter the building every day safely. New glass was repaired and added so windows don't leak anymore. All air conditioners that are no longer working have been removed, and new devices have been installed throughout the building. The school has added a printmaking studio and has updated the furniture in a few classrooms. So the new furniture allows for flexible seating that supports student collaboration, project-based learning, and I think it's been very well received by both students and staff. So the renovations, remodeling, and new furniture allow students and staff to benefit from a more modern learning environment that supports safety, learning, and student well-being. So these Under each standard are foundational elements, and you can see by this chart, 1-1, we met during the collaborative conference visit. We continue to meet. 1.2a, we actually did not meet after the collaborative visit, and we now meet. 2.2, we did not meet. We now meet. 3.1, we continue to meet. 4.1, we continue to meet. And 5.1, we did not meet. But after this last visit, we meet. We just wanted to highlight some other areas, including 4 early enrollment classes for EEP. We now offer 16 AP courses. We have 6 CTE RIDE approved programs, and all students have equal access to these programs. We also increased the number of students who are enrolled in AP classes. We went from 174 in the 2022-23 school year to this year 261 students in AP courses. We removed study halls, and what that did would allow students more chances to explore more educational experiences and opportunities. So we're seeing a lot more electives that students are being offered. So probably the most exciting part of the report are accommodations. There are several. So the safe, positive, respectful, and inclusivity of our school culture. The high level of participation in and support for student clubs, such as GSA, the Peer Helping Network, Unified Sports, and all these clubs, as long as many other, also foster an inclusive environment. The use of formal social emotional assessment to assist in monitoring student well-being. The commitment of the district to a comprehensive K-12 approach to the development of a portrait of a graduate. The range of academic programs and opportunities made available to all students. The connections, the strong connections forged between students and educators. A wide variety of counseling and co-curricular groups support the social, emotional, and well-being of the students. The commitment to student learning and growth represented by the senior project. The numerous opportunities for a variety of stakeholders to collaborate and participate in committee work that informs administrative decision-making. The strong commitment to give back to the community through service hours and numerous clubs and school projects. The commitment to the development of the curriculum maps to ensure clear expectations for teaching and for learning. The time, energy, and leadership support dedicated to curriculum development. The authentic learning experiences provided for students. The use of a variety of forms of summative assessments for students to demonstrate their learning. The widespread use of varied types of technology to support teaching and learning. The commitment to engaging all stakeholders in developing of a vision or portrait of the graduate. The honest self-evaluation of the faculty to identify areas of need with regard to data analysis for improvement. The use of limited common planning time to focus on school improvement goals. A variety of choice affords all students of Tiverton High School in selecting meaningful courses. The authentic partnerships between the community and school as evidenced by senior projects. Wide range of social emotional supports available to students. The frequent collaboration and communication between and among all support service staff, general ed staff, and outside agencies to ensure the needs of all students. The efforts of the school nurse to be a resource and support to both students and parents. The multitude of library information services and material available to support teaching and learning. The amount of support provided to students through the guidance department, especially in the area of college planning. The investment in updated security doors, cameras, security system, and emergency escape windows to enhance the safety of the school plant for students and staff. The funding and time provided to staff for professional development. The dedicated funding provided to support the one-on-one Chromebook initiative and a planned replacement cycle. The infrastructure and protocols in place to ensure effective responses in crisis situations.
So as I began the report, we had 11 recommendations and 5 priority areas. They had been wiped out, and they did not look for any more of those. So the next part is they give you ideas, like what would be some cool next steps. So communicate the expectation that students exhibit the qualities of the 5 competencies in all areas of the school day, including academic classes, community involvement, athletic and extracurricular activities, and daily social interactions. Develop and implement a formal process to assess and communicate individual learning progress of all 5 competencies that embody the portrait of the graduate through their 4 years at high school. Develop and implement a plan to produce an annual report to communicate whole group school progress towards learning achievement of the portrait of the graduate. Create and implement a process to provide feedback to curriculum writers on specific elements of the curriculum maps, such as high-quality essential questions and enduring understandings to foster shared understanding and continuous improvement. Review and revise curriculum unit plans to explicitly outline opportunities for inquiry-based, student-led work and the student choice across all levels and courses using the principles of the UDL. Provide opportunities for teachers to visit each other's classrooms to continue to build a collaborative vision of high-quality instruction and curriculum implementation which supports development of the portrait of the graduate competencies. Incentivize I-ready performance by offering a spring opt-out for those students who test above grade level in all 4 fall and winter screenings. Validate student reading comprehension levels through a variety of tools and measurements in addition to I-rating. Review screening and progress monitoring, data utilization of the MTSS framework to make decisions about interventions during student support team meetings. Utilize PLC time to further disaggregate and examine data for student subgroups and plan interventions and/or curriculum modifications as needed. Leverage PLC time to analyze data of subgroups, specifically students of IEPs, 504 plans, and English learners and newcomers. Create and implement a process to measure the effectiveness of the PLC model and structures. Allocate, identify a time of the PLC cycle to examine student work to collaborate scoring and identify exemplars. Utilize the opportunities for collaboration built into the PLC schedule to enhance interdisciplinary student learning experiences. Address locker room issues, which they know we're addressing, to ensure that the students have access to adequate facilities. Enhance security features. Enhance that the fiber optics and cable systems can handle the demands of technology. Equip our classrooms with modern furniture that supports collaborative and varied instruction. Renovate the library media center to support innovative instruction and access to digital tools and technology for learning. And I think we did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. When you got the results and you moved everything over to Meets, did it surprise you at all?
No, because we've had a very dedicated amount of faculty and staff. Our students are easy to work with, and we have great leadership. So we were very excited by that.
Okay. So there was a lot of confidence around that. Yeah, good. Very proud. Good job. Great job.
Quick question. We heard a lot about going from the 1-day and the 6-day cycle to the 3. How did we achieve that?
Well, basically, there was an active amount of people getting involved in the scheduling committee. We looked at what type of schedule we'd work on, how we'd increase our schedule. So we went from, remember we used to have 6-day schedule?
Yep.
And we had 6 classes, we drop one. Nope, every class meets now. And then it took a lot of planning on Ms. Craven's part, guidance department, our data people. It just took a lot of work to just figure out how we're going to do that. And then we look at the classes we've offered, and we made sure that we had that basically built in. So it was a lot
Nice.
more planning. I mean,
Very-
if you want to expand on it more.
Always scheduling, right? Thank you.
I do, again, related to the PLCs, about how much time every week are you meeting in PLCs?
So we meet in a 6-day cycle. So like this week is 5 days. So if we'll meet every other day. So like I met with my PLC yesterday. I'll meet with them tomorrow, and then on Friday,
For
Monday.
about how long each?
Oh, the whole class period. 50-minute block. So about 150 minutes a week, which has been phenomenal. We could have, I mean, the amount of conversations that we can have and how we have changed some of our standards. We switched off some standards and say, this goes in this class, this goes in that class. It's been great.
That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time out of a day, out of 3 days. I don't know how you do it. Anyone else have any questions or comments? So, could I entertain a motion to accept and approve the accreditation report as presented?
So moved. Never get to do that.
Second.
Second, or you did second. And you did do a great job.
Yes, you
Good
did.
job.
Yeah. With commendation.
I want to know how many days you'd stay here overnight to get all this done. There are not enough hours in the minutes in the day. I know you're incredible, but boy. Okay, all those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You want to take over? All right. So thank you, Mrs. Pavo, for, I'll let you know when the bridge is fixed.
What's your
All right.
calendar?
It's a nightmare. Anyway, so we are up to, oh, you really want to switch, huh? All right.
We're on 7C, Dr.
7C.
Yeah.
She misses sitting next to me. Come on.
All right, so we're up to item 7C, FY25 budget calendar. Dr. Sanquioni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, we've outlined the budget calendar for FY25 for you. It's that time of year we start preparing to give you a good insight into the budget for next year. I'll just highlight a couple things on the calendar. It is our intention to provide you with a holiday gift, which is the budget book before we break on December 22nd. So we'll have that over the break. When we come back at our next scheduled school committee meeting, we plan on doing our first presentation, giving you the first look at the budget itself. And then you can see after that, each preceding meeting, we've broken down categories of the budget to give you an in-depth look. So for example, on January 23rd, we'll give you an in-depth look at technology, transportation, and special education. The following week, all the principals will be, following meeting, all the principals will be here to talk about their individual schools. We'll also do the energy budget then, and we'll continue to monitor state funding, revenue. We know there'll be presentations for both the Finance Committee and the Town Council. Once we know those are, we'll let you know. So we feel like we've got everything covered in this calendar. We look forward to get the process started with you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from anyone? Ms. Palish?
Have we reached out to the council yet to just get any idea of month that they might be looking at us? Or, or are we really just sitting back and just sort of, I mean, they may not have even started talking about it.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting for that initial
Yeah,
meeting that's
okay.
required.
Right. And then maybe talk about it at that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You have to set that date. I forget what the exact parameters are.
Well, the town council president indicated last night that she has an open collaboration with you, so you guys will figure it out.
Okay. We do. I just haven't really talked about it.
No, I will say that Mr. Carter did bring the subject up in the town council meeting last night with regard to, the town side of things, to say that very similar to what the schools are doing right now, the department heads are looking at their annual budget requests, et cetera. So I think we're both in the same kind of point right now, and just really waiting for the holidays to get past this.
Okay. All right, well, I'll openly and collaboratively set a date.
There you go.
Mrs. Pavo, anything?
No, thank you.
Mr. Dakotas, anything?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Humbug. We're up to item 7D. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the addendum to the superintendent's contract. MOU, really, but.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. I'll
Dr.
second that
Larkin?
motion, sorry.
I do want to make note of the fact that we did not receive a copy of it in our packet.
We asked to get that.
Okay. We can postpone the vote if,
It's been close to 2 months since we saw it.
yeah, although I don't think, we did review it in executive and there
we
was.
did.
Okay, so.
But it
well,
needs to be part of the record in open session as well.
Okay. Well, motion's been made and seconded. Having taken, the MOU will be posted on the website once it's approved. Any additional discussion? Otherwise, I'll ask for a vote. Mrs. Palish?
Because we did see it and we did approve it in essentially an executive, I will vote yes pending the posting,
Okay.
with the posting pending.
Should we
Okay.
make that a motion?
Yeah, you can make you can, so I'll try and play parliamentarian. You can amend the motion to say that
Well,
it
it's
takes
not-
effect upon posting on the
Yes,
website.
Yes.
So if someone would like to make that motion for that amendment,
Elaine, who made the motion?
Elaine did.
Elaine, you made the motion.
I'll make the,
So you're going to move to amend your original motion
Right,
to say
yes.
that the vote takes effect upon publishing of or posting of
On
the
the website.
MOU on the website.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second for the motion to amend the original motion?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Yeah.
I will just say that, Mrs. Farnworth makes a very
Valid point.
valid point that, it should have been in the backup, but because it has been this has been delayed and delayed and delayed, I am going to vote to move forward.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for a vote on the amendment to the original motion. Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
I vote yes. So now I'm going to ask for any other discussion on the motion as it stands right now, which is to approve the MOU with the vote to take effect upon posting of the MOU on the school website. No further discussion. I'll ask for a vote. Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So we are next up to item 7C, accept the following grants. Up with art.
We already did.
We
did
moved
that.
that up, Jerry, sorry.
Moved it up.
Okay.
Rep Edwards is here, so we want to move
Okay.
that up.
I wish you'd moved everything up and we're done by the time I got here. So, future meetings. Actually, before I do that, I'd like to recognize our new student representative. And ask you to, I know you were here last year with your predecessor.
Yes.
And we're not scared away.
Sam
Which is
Farley. May he
good.
rest in peace in Vermont.
Well, he's not, he is probably resting. He spends a lot of time in bed. So, would you like to introduce yourself to us and the public and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I was here last year as a sophomore. My name is Artemis Pulaski. I use any pronouns. I'm a junior this year. So I got into the student rep thing because of Sam Farley. I was the president for my class last year, but it wasn't really my thing. So I was looking for a different option, and then I was a rep for my class my freshman year. So I kind of wanted to move in a different direction, and this was where I went. So this is where I landed. So
Great. Well, welcome, Artemis. A lot of people have done things because of Sam Farley, but
maybe not good things, but
I was going to let that.
hopefully he
There's-
doesn't watch these records anymore. So.
He probably is watching, and just a hint of scandal, no actual scandal. So.
He
Anyway.
might text me later. I know what you did.
All right, so then we're going to move to item 8, future meetings. We have a finance subcommittee on Tuesday, January 9th, a school committee meeting on January 9th, and it's not listed here, but we also, oh, nope, it's not listed here. We have a building committee meeting on the 16th.
I believe that's true.
Okay. All right, any other notifications of meetings or invitations to parties? No? Okay. Then under Rhode Island General Law 42465A3, review emergency response plan and safety protocols. And ask for motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
yes.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
I vote yes. We're in executive.